Careful, hot mic, hot mic,
Right.
hot mic. All right, guys, what is up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well on this Tuesday morning. We are joined here today for the Next Level Laser Conference. Myself, Mark, I can never find these people,
Nope.
and Robert here, who is one of our fabulous teachers of Lightburn, who's actually teaching two classes this year at the Next Level Laser Conference. We are honored to have him. We've seen what he's done in the community, and to now bring him aboard as one of our teachers, and his willingness to share his knowledge is amazing. So hopefully, as you guys jump in, say hello, let us know you're here. We'd love to see where everyone's watching us from, but what we're doing, we're trying to get used to just getting into the rhythm. We'll be
Yeah.
monitoring comments. Feel free to ask questions as we go. Say hello to Robert, say hello to Mark, maybe say hello to me.
Yeah.
Either way. But again, Next Level Laser Conference we have coming up in, I don't want to
24
say it out
days.
loud.
24 days,
Yes,
man. 23
2023.
days. Yeah. Oh, my
23
goodness.
days. So it's getting here real quick. But again, we have Robert Kofoed here. We'll let him introduce himself a little bit, talk about himself, how he got involved in the laser business, and a little bit about his classes at Lightburn. So
Yeah.
go for it, Robert.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Robert Kofoed with Computer Creations. I'm a small business in the middle of central Nevada. Been in business for 25 years, but in the laser business for the last 5 years, where I've had completely 100% dedicated laser services available. Been using Lightburn for about 5 years, and I will say that's probably one of the reasons why I started my YouTube channel is when I got my first diode. It took me 2 months to get fired up. Just because there was no resources, right? There was no place to go to figure out what was going on. And so I knew that somebody needed some help and absolutely fell in love with Lightburn. Lightburn's come such a long ways in the last 5 years. I've done over 500 one-on-one individual trainings with Lightburn and projects and laser setup and those kind of things. And so I have a pretty unique perspective on kind of what part of Lightburn people struggle with and how people learn or look at Lightburn when they think they need to do one thing, when in actuality, they might need to do another. So just my wife and I, and this is a full-time business for us and we love it. One thing I love about the industry in general and using Lightburn is there's never a day that goes by that's not something different. And even as much as I use Lightburn on a day-to-day basis, train on it, that kind of stuff, I'm always learning stuff, you know? So it's one of those deals where I don't think you'll ever master Lightburn because they're always coming up with really good stuff. We've got some really cool sessions coming up for you guys, both design and settings. And I'm really looking forward. I'm pumped for doing this. I appreciate you guys inviting me over to take part in this event. This is one of the few events that I haven't been to. And so the wife and I are really excited to come see you.
Oh my goodness. We're nervous now. We got somebody new in the house. We got to make sure we impress him. It's gonna work hard. It's gonna be great, man.
Yeah.
Great. So I have a question for you that we hadn't talked about before. Are you like a lot of us that you're kind of a laser junkie in that you have a bunch of lasers or have had a bunch? Or tell me a little bit about your laser journey, that part of things.
Yeah, so that's a great question. Yeah, Mark, it's, I started with a 10-watt diode, and that's kind of got me hooked. I could see the capabilities of what was going on. Of course, back 5 years ago, the diode lasers weren't anything like they are today.
No.
But I still knew that that's exactly what I wanted to do. And so, I've bought, 4 more CO2 type lasers. I've got a fiber laser. I've got a 15-watt UV laser. So I've got most of the lasers that you use today. Now, I don't have any of the new diode style lasers. I just don't have the room for that. So that's probably my biggest gap in knowledge, is just all the newer diode machines that are out there, just because I've got kind of a myriad of other ones that I've used. But I'm a laser junkie, just like a lot of the rest of you. It's one of those things that once you have one, will. But
Just a few.
yeah, it's you know, I think the other thing that I absolutely love is you think of it, you can create it in the software, and then you can kick it out the door or put it in the customer's hands, and that entire process, you know, I'm all about that because it's all me. I don't have to worry about relying on anybody else.
That's so
But
cool.
a great comment here that we just need to share from Miranda. Wait, Robert will be there. I want to meet him forever. I learned so much from his YouTube channel. So
Nice.
Well, thank you, Miranda. I
definitely.
appreciate that.
That's great.
We
That's
will
so
be
good.
sharing your YouTube and your Facebook business page here shortly.
In fact,
So we'll
I'll-
post a link
we'll
in
we'll
the
throw it on here
description.
now, and then we'll come back and do it at the end too. So if you guys want to follow or connect with Robert anywhere, the best place to start is his Facebook page, his business page there. So hey, Will, could you drop that in the chat too for us? Would you be able to do that for
Yep,
us?
I'm going to go copy in those while you guys
Yep.
go ahead. Feel free to ask a question. I'm going to
Yep.
copy all.
And
paste
he's
all of
also got a
these.
YouTube channel that I'll put on the screen here in just a minute. But man, Robert, I'm looking forward to both this conversation and also the classes. I'm going to do my best to try to come to at least one or two of yours if I can get in there, because I use Lightburn every day. But we've talked about this with other softwares, and it's true about Lightburn as well, is that there's always tips and tools that maybe you're not aware of, or there's methods to do something that maybe you were doing it this way and I'm doing it this way, and maybe your way is more efficient, or it just clicks with me better. And so that's what I'm looking forward to learning is, how is Robert doing these things? Man, right before we went live, you told us two things that I didn't know existed. So I'm excited about both of those. And hopefully we'll jump into those. But I'm really excited about just learning how to get done the things that I want to get done in a more timely fashion.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that is amazing to me, and I think we all experience it no matter what kind of software you use, there is 6 ways to do things.
Yeah.
And Lightburn is no different. And so, you know, in these 2 sessions that I'm going to teach, I'm going to kind of show you the things that I've learned over the 5 years that I've used Lightburn on what I feel is a little bit more efficient. Might not be the way you're currently doing it now. Yeah. And it's just, you know, another option. There are several times that I'll be meeting with a client. We're going over Lightburn, and they go, well, this is the way I do it. And I'm going, gee, I didn't even consider that option. And it might be, you know, a better way than I was doing it. So that's one thing that intimidates a lot of people. They look at that Lightburn interface and it's a little overwhelming at first. But in reality, it's only because they built in 6 different ways to do the same thing.
Yes.
And it's really not that big a deal, but it's you know, the way you learn. You know, some people like key commands or keystrokes. Other people like to use their mouse and they don't like to use their keyboard. And the beautiful thing about Lightburn is they've got it set up for both. You can generate hotkeys, you can do all kinds of things. And Lightburn's a lot more capable than most people think, especially if you're coming from a third-party software. One of the things that, you know, we were talking about before we went live is now I don't, you know, I used to use third-party software when I started with Lightburn because it wasn't as capable as it is now. But now, for probably the last 2 years, I do 100% of my design work in Lightburn. Very rarely do I have to go externally anymore, which is nice because it's, you know, you don't have to worry about that conversion factor.
Yes.
That's always can be a problem if it's something that's very specifically sized or something like that. So, you know, that's a great option. But, you know, the other thing that I will tell you when you mentioned about all the lasers that I have is what other software can you know, I can use 2 or 3 lasers at the same time and still just be familiar with one interface. And so it doesn't matter whether it's a diode or a CO2 or a fiber or a UV, your interface is exactly the same. And the only thing you're doing is creating a device profile. So that's the other big benefit about learning Lightburn is if you expand over time and you get all these different types of lasers, you don't have to relearn any software.
I love it. Hey, Will, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, and I'll drag this question out so you can think about it for a second. I know that between the three of us, you probably use Lightburn the least. You use it. I'm not suggesting you don't, but when you're thinking of your perspective, Will, when you first started using Lightburn, or even now, what were some of the concerns you had when you first? Because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, did you come from a Glowforge, and then was the next program, was it Lightburn, or was there something in the middle? Oh, Inkscape a little bit for you?
Inkscape. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I started with the Glowforge, kind of got into Inkscape because there was more that I can do in Inkscape when the
Yeah.
Glowforge interface was still very limited. Even with all the updates, it's still limited in what we can do. So then I went to Inkscape, and I will say, going into when I upped my laser from the Glowforge to some of the bigger lasers with the Ruida controllers, my biggest fear was, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to unlearn everything I've been doing for the last 2 years. I'm going to have to do everything in Lightburn. It's going to be complete chaos. I'm going to have this huge gap of um, like when I can continue to produce, right? Like, oh, I'm going to start something and it's going to be 6 months later before I can produce again. And the transition was actually a lot easier than I anticipated.
Yeah.
As far as, it, I know, Robert, you've said this to me, and I've asked you questions about it before too. Was it's a program where Illustrator, Silhouette, Inkscape were designed for other mediums, where Lightburn was developed from the ground up for us laser users. And
Yes.
maybe Robert can speak to that too, because you said before we got on air, you were talking about going from Affinity and some of the things that you did in the Adobe products into Lightburn. How would you describe that transition, and is it as hard as people think that it is? Because I think that's the number one question I get when people look at getting a new laser, is the fear of switching programs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, Will. And I had been using the Affinity suite of products for quite a while, and primarily because at the time Lightburn didn't have some capabilities that I needed. But what I have found that in going from a third-party software into Lightburn pretty much full time is they're very similar in the way they operate, but they have to make them look different, right? So it's one of those deals where, whether it's a grouping action or something like that, it looks completely different in a third-party software, but the function itself is exactly the same. And I think that's the biggest hurdle that most people have to get over is, I know what I want to do. I know I want to group this set of designs or something like that.
Yep.
And what does it look like in Lightburn and how does it function? And so that's one of the reasons why I think these 2 sessions that we're going to do is so important, because that's exactly what I'm going to show you, whether it's on the design side or whether it's on the setting side. You're going to get a really good tour of the interface and see how it's supposed to be used, or as it was designed. And once you see that, you're going to go, oh, okay, well, I know what that does in a third-party function. This is where it lives in Lightburn. And it's not a matter that you don't know what you need to do. It's that I don't know what it looks like going from one software to another. And so, when we do those 2 sessions, you're going to have a very good idea of how the interface in general works, from kind of basic stuff to more advanced. The beautiful thing I like about these 2 sessions is normally in an hour, I can't tell the whole story. So this way I can give the credence it needs to tell the story from a design perspective and how it marries up with the settings. And everybody has kind of a preconception on how it should go. And so my goal will be, just to have everybody, give them some ideas on different workflows that are quicker, better, faster, easier, that kind of stuff. And it's not a hard transition in my mind. It's just like anything else, you got to kind of understand the interface and where everything lives, and that there's a lot of different ways to do it, but that interface is not nearly as big as you think it is, as far as in depth. And in a couple of hours, you can really have a pretty good handle on where that stuff lives in Lightburn compared to a third-party software.
I see Blake's comment here. He said he took Adobe Illustrator classes and it helped me improve in Lightburn. I can resonate with that as well, because I use Lightburn every day, but I also use Illustrator every day. And to what you said, Robert, is I think you're right, is if you've come in from something else, you'll see a lot of commonality or a lot of familiarity. Even if the tool is called something different, you're going to say, oh, like group, for example, that's pretty much the same in everything. Nobody, they don't call it collect or something. They call it group, right? But like in Illustrator, you might have your Pathfinder features, and in Lightburn, now I'm getting Inkscape. Will, is it Boolean operations in Inkscape?
Boolean operations, yeah.
Okay. And
it's the same. Yeah, it's the same in Lightburn. Yep.
Yeah, right. So some of those are the same, some are a little different, but you go, wait a minute. In Illustrator, it's minus something, and in Lightburn, it's subtract.
Yeah, that's right.
You go, oh, I know what those words mean. Those aren't that hard.
Or instead of a shift key, it's a function key, or it's just a different key selection. And I'm sure they've got to do that for obvious reasons, but it's one of those deals that there are a few things in Lightburn that are way different, in my opinion, compared to other third-party softwares. I mean, a great example would be the difference between open and import in Lightburn is very different compared to the other third-party softwares. And if you think that you're doing the same thing as you are like in Affinity or whatever, it will get you into trouble, because Lightburn handles those two functions very differently compared to what you're used to. And we'll be covering that in these two sessions, but it's one of those deals. And that's what I'm hoping to do is, show all the gotchas that you might say, that you assume, okay, it works like this over here, but it doesn't work like that over in Lightburn. Because let's face it, it's very frustrating. You know what you need to do, but for whatever reason, you're trying to do that in Lightburn and it's not working like it did in another software. And now you've got to kind of go find, okay, where is that? And what does it do? What do I have to do to get it done? And so, I think the two sessions that we're going to do will answer just a boatload of questions for a lot of people in a lot of ways. People use it in many ways, and that's what I love about this is I get to see a lot of that because people learn differently. That's just the way it works.
Yeah, absolutely. Will, do you have, I just keep thinking about different questions that maybe you had. I have several when I first started. Are there any questions when you got started?
I have a common one that I hear a lot is, especially someone coming from, say, the Glowforge, right? Who aren't a designer like myself. I'm not a designer like the two of you. Design all of your own projects or most of your projects. I tend to buy a lot of files from Etsy or from designers. And a question I get a lot is, am I still able to buy files and use files like I would from other designers and bring them into Lightburn just like I would the Glowforge interface? And people thought, oh, with just Lightburn, I have to just design. So now I have to become a designer. And that is not the truth, right? You can do exactly like you would with any other operating system for a laser.
Yeah, I will tell you, very easy to import designs that you purchase online. One of the things that is easily done is if you import this design that you bought off of Etsy and it comes in a bunch of different or strange colors, and you want to be able to change those colors to different colors. And we're going to go over how you use colors in Lightburn in my sessions. That's big. But it's literally holding down the shift button, clicking on that layer. It selects all of that color. You change a color, and in 2 mouse clicks, you've basically done that. And so it's very easy to import. The other thing that Lightburn has that's probably got the most powerful trace feature of just about any third-party software I've seen. Once you understand how it works, it's a magical tool in a lot of ways. And so, yes, you can bring them in. no problem. So if you're used to using other software where you're buying your files and you're bringing that into third-party software and you're kind of doing your tweaks from there, none of that changes. You can bring all of that. Typically, the files now, especially on Etsy, there isn't most all files are SVG driven. And so as long as you're getting an SVG, away you go. But the other thing that a lot of people are misinformed on, and I run into this all the time, is that they don't know that you can actually import a picture, not convert it in any way, just bring it in and engrave it on a substrate without doing anything to it other than doing some, minor setting adjustments. So not only does it do SVGs, you can bring in an image and it converts it to black and white automatically. And then it's just a matter of what you want it to look like on the substrate that you're going to engrave it on. So a lot of people think, well, I want to try to engrave this picture and I've got to convert it into another style. And that's just not true. You can just import it as an image. It'll say image on your mode in Lightburn and set it up and away you go. So it's very powerful.
I have to comment because you just smoothly told us about that click one color, I'll hold shift down and click it. Before we went live that I did not know anything about that. And what I love, I really want to highlight this. Classes like this, and hopefully this will happen in all the classes, you may learn solid for an hour and a half, which is great. But I will tell you, if you get one tip like that, it can change your entire workflow for not just today, but every day. And I'm going to tell you this, that one tip is going to change the rest of my workflow going forward because I didn't know that. And so I just encourage everybody, look for that one tip. And if you get 20 tips, great. But that right there, that's huge. And I know you're going to share another one here in a few minutes that I also didn't know. So I just love that. When we're thinking of formats, you mentioned SVG, but I want to, I'll tell people what I know and I'd like you to expand on it. Besides SVG, in terms of vector file formats, I know you can also use AI, meaning Illustrator, AI files directly in Lightburn. I do that every single day. And a lot of people did not know you could do that. So I design in Illustrator because that's where I started. I started with that before I even knew Lightburn existed. And so it's easy for me just to do all my work in there and then open up the AI file directly. I don't have to save it as an SVG unless I want to. Are there any other vector formats that it accepts besides SVG and AI?
PDF. Yeah, you can import a PDF.
Okay.
And it basically looks like a vector. Yep. So PDFs are typically those are the three that work the best.
Yeah, that's great.
The other thing is you can export. So let's say that you do a design. You can create an SVG from that design and export it. Let's say that you've got other things that you want to use an SVG for. You can use Lightburn to export SVG files.
That's
which
great.
is kind of handy. Yeah.
One thing that I learned early on, and I think I tell people this at least once a week, is and help me, Robert, because I might get some of this wrong, but I think you'll know where I'm going with this. SVGs, I know that Adobe does this, and I'm not sure if others do this too, but I know Adobe, for whatever bizarre reason, their DPI for their SVGs, I might get these backwards, is 72 DPI, and everybody else pretty much in the world is 96.
96, yeah.
Did I get that right, or is it backwards? I don't know if I got it right. And the reason that matters is because when you open up an SVG that's made in Illustrator and you open it in Lightburn, you've got some options, your SVG import options, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you know what? I'll let you finish that one because I know you know where I'm going.
So let's say that you design something in a third-party software. The only critical thing that you've got to understand is it's got to be either 72 or 96 DPI when you design it. And then when you export it and then bring it into Lightburn, there's a setting in Lightburn that you're going to make a selection, whether it's 72 or 96. And as long as those two things match, if you design something, 6x4 in Illustrator, it's going to come in 6x4 in Lightburn. And a lot of people, use Lightburn for print and cut. And that's one of the big problems that a lot of people struggle with, is they don't design in that specific DPI. And then when they import it, it never works because all the sizes have changed.
Yes. Yeah.
And so the bottom line is, and I still, like I said, I do some things. I do a lot of sublimation still. And so I may sublimate Unisub, with Affinity Designer. And then I'm going to do the print and cut. So I've got to take that file and import it into Lightburn. And the very first thing I do is make sure that my setting is set to that before I get started. Because if you just doing like you normally do and fire it off at 300 DPI and then export it at that resolution, it's not even going to be close to the same size.
Hey, Will, you want to grab Blake's question? Is a good one. It's right on this topic here. You want to read it for everybody?
Do PDFs keep dimensions well? Is any format better or worse for keeping dimensions? I've been doing more and more automotive part making and want to make sure I'm asking for the best format.
Yeah, I will tell you, in all honesty, Blake, that I've had some inconsistency with PDF format. If it was measurement critical, I would try to stay with SVG, period. The PDF is for the stuff that I've imported or gotten from somebody that was supposedly sized on what they want, bring it in as a PDF. It's just not consistent for me. Now, that may be because there's something I'm missing here, but PDFs are good to get a general, okay, I got a logo, they send me a PDF and I can, I bring it in, it's going to be an SVG and I can resize it and do whatever I need to with it. But far as bringing it in and have it be exactly what you want from a manufacturing perspective, I'm not sure that's a good idea.
And I won't differ with that experience. I know in my experience, I found that PDFs and AI both are exactly what I want every time. SVG is only if I have the right settings in my preferences.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what I teach people is do either one, either have the preference selected, or the challenge for me as a designer, if you buy from me, unless you ask me, you don't even realize that I made it in Illustrator. You don't know where I made it. And so all you've got is something that says .svg. You don't have any idea where it came from.
Sure. Yep.
And so when you open it, you don't know which setting you should choose because you don't know where I made it.
Right.
And so what I tell them is, hey, if you're using Lightburn, and by the way, this is not a slam on Lightburn. This is actually saying Lightburn gives you the ability to make this choice. Is I say, if you buy from me and you're using Lightburn, either use the AI or the PDF that I provide, because I provide all of them.
Right.
And then you'll know that they stay the size that I intended them to be. And you don't have to jack around with the two different DPIs, because if you bought something from Will and he made it in Inkscape, and you bought something from me and I made it in Illustrator, they're going to be two different DPIs. And that's just,
and you've got to know which way. Yep.
Yeah. And then you got to change when you open his and change when you open mine. And just skip all that and just go to the AI or the PDF. And then you don't have to worry about that. That's been my recommendation. I wish it was different. It's not,
you've got options to make sure that it works,
That's exactly right.
That's just it. It's I'd rather have more options than them just locking you out of a particular format, right?
That's for sure.
Give me the options and I'll figure it out, but don't take away my choices.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, as much as an Adobe user as I am, I still want to go, hey, stop being different. But it is what it is. I have nothing I can do. Yeah, that's great. Will, you want to kind of lead Robert and us through some tips that he has there?
Yeah, definitely. So I know, Robert, you're going to share a few tips and tricks with us here. We'll start letting you get your screen share. And while you're doing that too, a quick question I know a lot of people ask when it comes to Lightburn is it a one-time purchase? Is it a subscription service? What is the model for obtaining Lightburn and getting a Lightburn license?
Yeah, great question, Will. Yeah, so Lightburn, once you purchase it, you have Lightburn for forever, meaning that you don't ever have to buy another license. But there is a caveat to that, meaning that you can buy Lightburn and use it forever, but you don't get any, after 1 year, you don't get any updates. So as progressive as Lightburn is, always adding really neat features that really enhance your ability to create work faster, better, that kind of stuff. And I think once you get through that first year, if you want to re-up your license so you get updates, I believe it's around $40. And so in my opinion, it's an incredible value for what this software provides.
That's great. Yeah. Love it. Go ahead, Will.
All right. So
Yep.
are you all ready, Robert? You got your
Yep,
screen
I'm
up?
good.
Gonna
Yep,
throw it
Lightburn's
onto
up.
the screen.
Yep.
All right. We're going to throw you on the stage and we'll let you take it away on what you're going to share with us right now.
Great. So just wanted to show you a quick couple of tips that I find that a lot of people don't know exist, that can be really helpful for brand new Lightburn users, or even people that use Lightburn that have a small shop, and maybe you've got 2 or 3 different people using the laptop that's got Lightburn on it, and it's called the show notes feature. So it lives up here in File. I'm going to come down here to Show Notes, and if I click that, this little dialog box comes up. Now it might seem like it's pretty simplistic, but there's some uses for this thing that a lot of people are starting to get a hold of that really make a difference. So
Yes.
instead of making notes on your design space, this is really designed for you to put all your things that worked, didn't work. You can paste web links in here. You can indicate where you're getting your material for this particular project. You list what works, what doesn't work, that kind of stuff. So it's great for people that are just starting out and kind of cataloging kind of what they're doing and why. But then taking this feature to the next level, let's say that I've got a process for making this product, and I'm not the only one doing it. Maybe my wife jumps on the computer and does the same thing. What I can do is I can go ahead and write out the process or the procedure in here, paste it in here from a third-party software, so it's the way you want it. But then you can come down here and you can turn on this dialog box that says Show on File Open. And when you do that, the next time this file gets opened, this dialog box automatically pops open and you have kind of your procedure right in front of you. And so if you've got multiple people kind of operating the laser and you want to make sure that there's a process followed for a particular product, this is a great way to use this little feature. And what I find, even after using Lightburn for 5 years, if I'm developing a new product or I'm doing something custom, because my shop's 100% custom work, I will do a lot of indications in here on specifically how I set it up, what I did, because there's a chance this customer might come back and say, I want more of those and I want them to look exactly the same way. And so, the good thing about this is it works really well on Galvo too, because you can list the lens that you used, any setup procedures. And so it's called the show notes feature, and I love it. It's a nice sideline, but a lot of people don't know about it or use it.
Robert, I love that. I have a couple of questions about that. You said there's that little button in the bottom left corner that says open on, what does it say? Open on file.
File, yep.
Yeah. So, and by the way, we have you back up on the screen now, so you can come back to us. So is each note saved with each individual file? Tell me about how that works exactly.
Yes. So that's the beauty of that little feature, is that dialog box is unique to that file. So when you go in, you've got your design done, you go up to File and Save, and you save it as a Lightburn file. Okay. That entire whatever you put in that dialog box is going to be there. And so, you can paste in a web link. So let's say that I'm looking, or I've got a very specific type of material that I only use for this product. Instead of trying to think, God, where did I order that material from? I just paste that web link in there, go in there, boom, I've got it. And I don't have to think about it anymore. Right.
Nice.
It's one of those deals where it saves me so much thinking time where I'm going, I need to order more of that. And I'm not even sure where I got it.
What a great idea. I love that. That's cool. I'm going to start doing that for sure. I think
it's very helpful. The only other thing that I will tell you, and this is something that everybody needs to understand, is when you generate a Lightburn file, it is a standalone file on your hard drive. It's not housed within Lightburn. There is absolutely no protections to that file. And so I highly recommend that you do you're backing up your files to a external solid state hard drive or to the cloud or something, because if you just keep them resident on your hard drive on your computer and something happens to your hard drive, all that stuff is gone. So be very careful about how you store those files, because they're just another file on your hard drive.
That's great. Miranda has a question. I'll read it out loud, but I'll also comment it. She said, how long do you wait before an update comes out to install? I know for me as a computer user my entire adult life, or even I started in my teenage years, I learned typically I don't always go with the release the first moment it comes out. Some people do, and that's great. But in general terms, I wait for a few days or whatever. What is your recommendation for Lightburn, but also software in general? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same way, Mark. It's one of those deals. I try to be on kind of the leading edge of that, only because I'm usually answering the questions on why something's not working. But in all honesty, I give it a couple weeks. You can usually see by watching the forums whether there's going to be an issue or not with people, bringing stuff up that's not working quite right. But what I will tell you is that Lightburn normally is so responsive about things that, when they do an update, something happens, they are normally on it and get it fixed in a really quick way of time. So normally a couple weeks and you're good to go. I mean, very rarely have I even upgraded. I mean, literally the minute it comes out, because I want to see what's available, what I can learn. On occasion, there are some issues, but it's usually within that week or two. They've got a fix published, and it's not a big deal. I think the big thing that we've all got to remember is how many lasers, computers, just equipment in general that Lightburn are trying to handle, and to be able to test it all is virtually impossible before you kick out a release. I mean, there's always going to be some little thing that raises its ugly head because there was just no ability to get a solid test on it. So I think they do a fantastic job, but a couple weeks and then you're good to go. But the yearly update for the updates, in my opinion, is well worth the $40. I mean, when you look at where they were 5 years ago compared to where they are today, and it just gets better and better and better. And the things that you can do from a design perspective now in Lightburn that you couldn't do a year ago is pretty incredible.
Let me ask what maybe somebody might wonder is, if I've got, I'll just make up a number, if I've got a 2023 version of Lightburn and I pay for the update today, I get all the way up to today, right?
Yes.
I'm not having to do $40 for each.
No.
Yeah.
No. So you're basically just bringing yourself current. And I will tell you, probably in the last 2 years is when we've seen the largest, biggest, best improvements, where before then, they were making pretty good headway. But in the last couple of years, the enhancements that they're producing and kicking out to us are literally game-changing things that make a huge difference in our workflow. And that's kind of their business, right? Is refine. And so it's one of those deals where I was meeting with the client last week, and I think they were like on version 1.4. And during our session, I had her upgrade just so I could show her all the things that she was missing. And I didn't realize, even from 1.4 to 2.0, the massive difference that there is in that software, in just some really nice features that keep you out of trouble, do things a lot easier. Yeah, it's well worth it. And I I know a lot of people are freaked out about going from one version to another because they think they're going to lose everything. And what I will tell you is, you should be backing up your files consistently now anyway. But the newest or the latest feature of Lightburn has incorporated what they call bundles. And this is a one-click option where you can back up all of your libraries, all of your settings in Lightburn, export it, one file. They've made it so easy. And if you were on that version 1.4, that wasn't possible. So they've built in some really nice fail safes to be able to, create backups with literally one mouse click.
I love that. Will, I think we can just make a quick judgment here that is Kurt just going to be a regular VIP from now on for this? Yes, absolutely. Kurt, you're welcome anytime, my friend. Absolutely. I love it. That's great.
It's great. Robert, you addressed something that someone just asked as well from Regina. When Lightburn upgrades, does it erase your material settings or art library? What is the best practice to protect these?
Yeah, so that's just it. So, the best way to handle that is you'll go up to File and go down to Bundles, and then you'll get an export or an import. And matter of fact, can we show that right quick?
You let us know when you're ready, and we'll put it up there.
You tell me when you're ready.
Yep,
I am ready.
All right, let's do it.
All right, you're ready to go, Robert. Yep.
Okay, great. So this is something that that everybody should be doing. I went up here to File, and I'm on the latest version, and this has been around for the last couple of versions. But this is, if nothing else, this would be worth upgrading for. So I'm coming down to Bundles, and then I'm going to say Export. And in one click, I've selected all my settings in Lightburn, all the hotkeys that I've got generated, all of my material presets that I've done, all of my different laser device profiles that I have, all of my material libraries, and all of my art libraries that I have. So all I've got to do is when I say export, I would export that to an external hard drive. And then if for some reason something happens, my hard drive crashes, I've got a brand new fresh install or maybe a new laptop. You reload Lightburn, you come up here to File, Bundles, Import, and you would import that file, and you're right back to where you were before the problem happened.
That's great. Hey, I just noticed something. I know there's going to be a million of these that I noticed as we're watching, but I noticed that you have your, oh my gosh, what are they called?
Oh, the color?
Yeah, the color. You have yours above. I have mine below.
Yeah. So, and this is something that if you're a PC user, depending on the resolution of your screen, normally it's down here.
Yeah.
Right. But the problem is that in some resolutions, you cannot see this color bar.
Oh.
And so for some PC users with lesser high resolutions, you can put it over here, you can put it over there. And so I typically have it up here just because it works better for me from a workflow perspective.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying is Lightburn is so customizable. And most people don't know that you can move this stuff around. In all honesty, their default layout is about 95%, in my opinion. There's a few things that I do, but other than that, it's laid out really good. The other tip that we were talking about that a lot of people don't know is if I generate a rectangle and I want to round these corners, I don't have to go to the Shape Properties tab. I can just hold down the Control key. Oh, it's not going to work. I don't know what the sharing screen thing is. There it is. See, when I hold the Control key down there, you see this little blue ball that shows up down here.
Yeah.
So if I hold it down, if I go this way, it rounds the corners. If I go this way, it scallops the corners.
Oh, that's cool.
And so,
now, would you show us just the long way of doing that, just so people know if they don't know how to do it at all?
So if for some reason you can do it over here, you can do it individually. So if you have yourself a rectangle and it's selected, you can select a radius here, and we'll just put in a quarter inch radius. And then all you do is hover over here, and you see that gives you like a little corner radius tool.
Yeah.
And let's see if we do zoom in a little bit, and you just double click it. So that way I've got to go for, I'm clicking it 4 times. The other way would be if I had the shape properties tab up here, you can round all 4 corners at the same time. It basically does the same thing as what I showed you initially. So again,
I've got to go ahead and show my ignorance here, but there's got to be somebody else out there like me. Again, before we went live, I told Robert that I didn't know when I first started about selecting to the left and selecting to the right. And so I don't want to assume that everybody knows that. So if we could show people how that works and why that's helpful. I'm embarrassed to tell you how long it took me to discover this, but it's a great tool. And I'll be even more honest. I complained about it at first because I didn't understand what was happening. and now I use it every day. So I thought maybe you could show some people that.
Yep. So there is 4 different ways to make selections in Lightburn. And the first way, if I start here on the left, I hold my left mouse button and I drag to the right. You notice that I've got a red selection window. What that means is anything within that selection window is going to be selected. So in this particular case, the blue circle is the only thing that's selected because that was the only thing that was completely in that window. Comparatively so, if I start from the opposite direction and go from right to left, you notice that my screen goes to green, and anything that it touches is going to be selected. So we would do that, and it would select the large black rectangle and the red triangle. And so going different directions gives you different results in that respect. But here's one that I absolutely love, that we talked about that a lot of people don't know. I'm going to just generate a couple of different ones that are going to be kind of all over the workspace. Okay. So we've got a design that we just imported. If I wanted to select all these blue circles without having to select each blue circle, I can come over here, hold my shift key down and select the blue layer, and all of those now are selected. And so if I wanted to change those colors globally, I could do that.
That's cool. Yep. I didn't know that either.
Yeah. So just, these are just quick hints on, if you're doing your designs, or even if you're buying and importing designs, there's still some work that has to be done in Lightburn. The other thing is if you're not using a mouse with a scroll wheel on it and you're using these navigation buttons up here, please do yourself a favor and go get a mouse with a scroll wheel, because that way you can use the wheel in the middle to zoom in and out. And if you hold it down, it's the pan feature. So that saves you a lot of heartache.
Robert, while we've got you here on Lightburn, I've got a question. And maybe this will be straightforward. Maybe it won't be. Let's say that I'm going to just have a big rectangle. And let's say I'm going to punch out or cut out, doesn't matter, my name, M-A-R-K. Do I need to, I've learned how to do it in Illustrator, but I have a suspicion it's much, much easier here than I realize. And what I mean by, let me think of how I can explain this. Yep, I think it's going to be more complicated than I realize at the moment to explain what I mean, because I know you could just simply type my name on top of that rectangle and then have them both be cut lines, and it would just cut it out and we'd be done.
Right.
But there are times when I needed to subtract one thing from another thing, and I think that it actually is much. You know,
gotcha. So let's go. Let's do this right quick. So let's say that we have a name here and we offset it right quick. And we grow up that offset so it's big enough. And then if we wanted to generate something, then we would select the offset and then select the rectangle and subtract those two. And then that would bump out, that would give you a different bump out. The other very cool thing that a lot of people don't understand is how the line function, the fill function works. The way the fill function works, and I'm going to get this into a little bit more detail in our sessions, but when you have fill over here in your mode when you start from the outside and everything is the same layer, the first time it crosses a line, it's going to turn the laser on. When it crosses the next line, it's going to turn it off. And then when it crosses the next line, it's going to turn it on. So it's on, off every time you do that. Well, you can create some really cool stuff when you do that. If I just add one little offset to this, let's go to the inside and re-look at this. Look what we've done.
Robert,
So,
that is exactly what I was trying to say, and I did it so poorly. That is exactly what I wanted to know. That's perfect.
Yeah, so it's just a matter of, if you understand how Lightburn uses the fill command, it's a sequence of the same color layer to get those, get those results. And so you can, this might be, you might make, if you're making an acrylic sign, for instance, you can cut this backer out of one color, cut this out of another color, and now you've got kind of the backer that you need, and building it is really pretty easy.
And I've used the phrase reverse engrave, which, you're engraving the back, but not Robert or whatever like that. And you just showed it in just a couple clicks. It's way easier than, honestly, what I do in Illustrator. So
yeah, and you could literally keep going with this. If you just keep adding lines, it's just going to be that on, off, on, off, on, off. And so once you understand that, using the fill command, you can really get pretty creative.
That's really cool. I love that.
A question I have as a beginner that I know a lot of questions come up with is, one, how many devices when I buy the Lightburn license, how many devices can I put that on if I have multiple computers in my workstation? And how many lasers can I run off of one license?
Yeah.
So that's a great question. So you can, I think you can have up to 3 seats. Don't hold me to that. I believe it's 3 seats. And if for some reason you need more, you can inquire into Lightburn. But I believe that you can put that on 2 to 3 computers without purchasing a separate license. And so you're good to go there. And then, in all honesty, I mean, I've had my 15 watt UV going and my CO2 100 watt going and my RF CO2 going all at the same time. Now, how I do that is I use Lightburn bridges for all my CO2 machines. And then that way I'm tethered manually to my 15 watt UV. But the beauty of that is, if I wanted to, this is how easy it is. So I've got, this is my 100 watt. If I wanted to connect another laser and kind of bounce between them, I can come up here and say new window. It's going to generate a new instance of Lightburn. And then all I'm going to do is select my, let's say that I go down to my UV. And now if you look right here, I've got two different instances, and I can just bounce back and forth and do whatever I want with them.
That was going to be my question. You got it right on the nose. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've done that up to three computers, but the big thing you got to be careful of is how many USB ports you've got externally. That's why I've got the Lightburn bridges on the 2 CO2 lasers, and then I'm just connected manually to the one Galvo.
Right. We just brought you back on the screen here, so you can join us. Catch Blake's question there, Will.
Yeah. So Blake says only one Galvo instance at a time, correct?
Unless I haven't, to be honest with you, I haven't tried more than one. I think if you had the ability to tether to your computer, that might be possible. But Blake, in all honesty, I haven't tried it, so I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. My goodness, Robert, this has been rich, man. This is so good. And if you guys have not heard Robert teach, you just did. He's so easy. You're so easy to listen to. You go at the right pace, which I really appreciate. And I think you guys are going to love his classes. So before we close here, let's kind of recap what your 2 classes are. Just the 2 directions that you're taking the classes. And tell us about that real quick.
Okay, so first of all, the goal, we're gonna create a Christmas ornament at the end of the process. But during that, we're gonna talk about the design side, meaning that all the interface of what you use when you're designing a file. I will go over, because we've got plenty of time, I'll go over the majority of the features that you're going to use on a daily basis, with the intent that the end result is going to be to design this Christmas ornament. And so you'll get a great look at a kind of the interface itself, all the different tools and icons that you're going to need to use, some things that are going to speed up your workflow. I'm big about workflow. One of the other things that I'm going to cover in massive detail is how you use color. Everybody kind of uses that in a different way, and most of the time it's going to build you into a corner. And so we're going to talk about the use of color and why. And then once we get our design interface kind of figured out, the next session we're going to jump into is the settings, and that's going to deal with layers and how to use them, and what the difference is between a fill and a line command. What's the difference in scoring, and why you need to change your minimum and maximum settings. Lots of meat and potatoes in that. If you're struggling with settings because they mystify you, that will definitely be a session that you want to, because I'm going to talk about how I determine my settings on different substrates, and that you can use a material test card, but there's lots of other ways to determine those settings without using one. So it's going to be those two sessions. You will have a huge amount of knowledge. From a perspective, if I've used Lightburn and I'm a master at it, will I get a lot out of it? You'll probably get a couple of tips and tricks maybe that you might use. If you're brand new to Lightburn, that's definitely the sessions that you want to take part in. If you're an intermediate user, maybe you've been using it for a year, but you're still kind of struggling along, that's absolutely perfect for you guys.
That's great. I love it. Hey, Will, tell everybody, I don't want to assume that everybody knows, because we get the same question a lot. Tell them how the classes are set up, because some people are asking about, do they need to sign up and that kind of thing. Tell everybody how that's going to work.
Well, first off, talking about Robert's 2 classes, we thought about that a long time, as how do we maximize the time, because there are 2 aspects to Lightburn, right? There is the design aspect, and there's the section that where you're going to learn to run on your laser. So giving Robert ample time to show you guys exactly how to get from point A to point B, I think that's a great mix. And for you to be teaching both, we are greatly appreciative of that.
Yeah, for
The
sure.
way that classes work, we don't sign up for classes. We have our schedule out. You will pick which classes you want to go to, and you just go. We have our general sessions that start the day where everyone is together. Great energy, lots of fun, great keynote speakers, and then you'll pick your classes. And all of our classes are taught a minimum of 2 times. Some are taught 3. So you can kind of piece together what makes sense for your day. And the great thing is we have 22 topics that we're covering this year, and you will not get to all 22. It's just not, we don't have the time to do it unless you wanted to stay at the conference for a week. Or
which, by the way, we're not.
We're not. We're
not staying there.
We will be planning the next one the day
Oh,
after. So
good Lord.
So we have decided we are going to record every single session of all the teachers, all the speakers, and for all attendees, you will get all of those recordings, part of your admission. So if you don't catch a class, don't worry. If you miss something in the class, you don't have to worry. You can go back. Just give us some time after we pull all the data in to edit, put it all together. It's a lot of work for the amount of classes, but you will get all of that together. So you don't have to worry. Even if you say, hey, what, I'm just tired, or I want to go enjoy the resort for a little bit. I'm going to go check out the amazing vendors downstairs. You're not missing anything. You don't have to, well, I missed this class. I didn't get this one. You'll get them all. So you can plan your day accordingly and your week accordingly while you're there. For Robert's class, and all of our classes, actually, we've decided to go classroom style. So all of the classes will have tables there for you to bring your laptop to follow along, notes, pen and paper, iPad, whatever makes sense for you. We've tried to think of everything we could to try to make this experience amazing for you guys, the attendees, to get all the information needed. Um, August 28th through 30th, nextlevellaserevents.com. It's in Grapevine, Texas.
Yeah,
Today
right.
is
There it is.
August
Both of
5th.
you get up there. I'm sorry.
I know. Um, if you haven't got tickets, grab your tickets, get your hotel room booked. If you are on the fence and your schedule, you're not quite sure, book your hotel room. Our rates are until August 6th.
Tomorrow.
So if you want to get the rate, book your room. And worst comes to worst, if you can't make it, cancel your room as you get closer. But we don't want you to miss out on the price of the room because their standard price and what we negotiated are some significant savings.
Huge difference.
Uh,
Yeah.
and so get your tickets, book your rooms, take an Uber from the airport. It's 10 minutes from DFW. Everything's included there, many restaurants. You're going to connect with hundreds and hundreds of like-minded individuals. We're really excited about it. And Robert's one of our great teachers, and you'll catch him around, let him enjoy some time too, but ask him questions, get
Yep.
to meet him. It's going to be great. I'm going to share his links again. If you guys want to
Yep.
find Robert, here's his Facebook group. I'm going to post the
Perfect.
links in the comments as well in a second because these are not clickable. And check him out on YouTube. Amazing content there. Like, subscribe. If you're learning more about Lightburn in general and just the general knowledge is just amazing there. So check him out. We'd love to have you. We can't wait to see all of you in 3 weeks and a
Oh my
day,
gosh.
in 2 days.
Oh my goodness, so much. One last question, Robert, and then we'll let everybody go the rest of their day. If they're coming to your class, do you recommend that they bring their laptop with them? Is that something that would help them?
Yeah, I think so. With the amount of time that we're going to have, I'm going to be going at a similar pace to what but at the end, when we're going to have some question and answer time, a lot of times, even though you see me do it, it's really nice to be able to get there and go, oh, okay, I see where it is and how it works, that kind of stuff. So yes, I would encourage folks to kind of follow along. The other thing is when you're in there playing around on your laptop, a lot of times it'll stir up a question that you may not remember when you don't have your laptop. So you bet. I would encourage it. I really am looking forward to meeting everybody.
Yes.
Can't wait to see you guys at the end of August.
Man. Thank you guys, everybody. We're going to let you get back to the rest of your Tuesday. If you're watching this on demand, if you're not watching it live, you can still leave comments and we'll get notified. And if there's a question that we need to get to Robert, we'll do that. But once again, we can't wait to see you guys here in, oh my gosh, 3 weeks. Crazy. That's nuts. Thank you guys again. Robert, thank you so much. What a pleasure.
My pleasure.
The two of you guys hang around for just a minute. The rest of you guys have a great rest of your Tuesday. And we will see you all in the groups. Make sure you follow Robert on, everywhere. All right. Have a great day. We'll see you guys around soon.